Oh, yeah, it's fight night. I want to talk more about the fight against human progress. Here to defend growth and prosperity is our friend Marc Morano, executive editor at ClimateDepot.com. Hey, Marc, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Ezra. Happy to be here.
You know what? There's a big fight going on in the United States about Canada. It usually doesn't happen that way. We're usually, frankly, too boring for Americans to fight about us. But we propose a Keystone XL pipeline to bring 800,000 barrels of oil sands oil down to you to displace your conflict oil you're importing from folks like Venezuela. Why is your president against our ethical oil? Why is he supporting conflict oil?
You know, it's a very good question. President Obama has been delaying and dragging his feet on this, and the only answer is very simple. His science czar, John Holdren, has said one of the hazards of any society is cheap energy. His energy secretary wants gas prices to be European style, $8 or $9 per gallon. President Obama has said he wants to necessarily skyrocket electricity prices. Yeah. This is what they want to do. They want to make affordable energy more expensive. They don't like it, and they've never liked it. This is part of the green agenda.
Yeah, we got a quote. That's Stephen Chu you're referring to, the energy secretary. Let me read it for you. It's hard to believe that someone who, you know, is in charge of helping an economy would say this, quote, somehow we have to figure out how to boost the price of gasoline to the levels in Europe, unquote. I mean, I thought his job would be the opposite. I mean, since when does someone say, I want to make life more expensive? I want energy poverty. He's talking about energy poverty. I think I know what it is, Marc. He wants people to use less energy by making it so expensive it's punishing. Is that the theory?
Yes, and he himself rides a bike to and from work every day. Sure. And this is what you'll see people like Al Gore say, you should take baths together, you should take city transit. When Al Gore and Leonardo DiCaprio appeared on the Academy Awards stage, they flashed on the screen, use public transit. When was the last time Al Gore or Leonardo DiCaprio were on a city bus? It doesn't happen, but they're mandating. This is the power of government. They've figured it out. By banning, by limiting natural resource exploration, they're figuring it out and they're achieving their success wildly. They're banning coal plants. Obama's EPA. One of the most moral choices we have is coal-fired power in the world today. 50% of the electricity in the United States is delivered. It lowers infant mortality. It expands life expectancy. It brings modern dentistry, modern hospitals. All the modern things of life, we should tip our hat to fossil fuels. Coal, oil, natural gas.
Listen, I love coal. I get every year for Christmas in my stocking. I'm joking around, though. Coal is real. We've been using coal to power the world for centuries, and one day we'll have a fantasy fuel of the future that's perfect in every way, except for right now that doesn't exist. That's my point, Marc. I mean, every source of energy has its drawback, but we haven't developed that fancy fantasy yet, like the Chevy Volt or what was Obama talking about the other day, algae or solar panels. That's just living in fantasy land where we need a president and an energy secretary to be living in reality.
Yeah, in fact, you know, they talk about solar and wind. Let's just start with those. Those are the two biggest ones. If you look at Obama's $80 billion stimulus, companies like Solandra got $500 million. Electric car companies got $500 million. This is B with a billion, $500 million to try to stimulate this. The problem is wind power has been around since the 12th, 13th century, and solar power, of course, reached its zenith in the 1970s. If you go back and look at the rhetoric, it's just around the corner. Solar's just about to win. The bottom line is this. Both solar and wind have competed with fossil-based fuels, and they've had their rear ends kicked. And no amount of subsidies, mandates is going to turn an energy that doesn't produce the energy we need into that kind of energy. It's not going to happen anytime soon, and it's certainly not going to happen with the government picking winners and losers through the political process, and which campaign donors. In the case of President Obama, 80% of the stimulus package went from where were Democratic donors, according to an analysis done by, of all places, CBS News, which is part of the mainstream media here in the United States. So it's not going to happen through government picking winners and losers. It's not to discount solar and wind and technological breakthroughs, but it is to say when 1.6 billion people don't have running water and electricity, you don't look to put solar panels on their huts made of dung. You try to bring in carbon-based energy, even nuclear energy, and all sorts of things that work. Cheap, abundant energy is the lifeline of human prosperity and human wellness.
Well, that's the thing. It's not just fight night. Tonight is what the antis, like anti-prosperity, anti-industry, anti-quality of life people, tonight they're saying it's Earth Hour. For 1 hour, we've got to live like we're poor North Koreans,
Yes.
cold, hungry, and in the dark. I can't think of a stupider thing to do. To me, that's like a rich person paying a lot of money to buy cheap clothing to pretend they're poor. Like, why would you do that other than for some like Halloween event? What are you going to do? We're here celebrating something that was invented by the Competitive Enterprise Institute called Human Achievement Hour. We're going to turn on our Christmas lights, our blenders, our microwave ovens, our TVs, our computers. I'm just going to, walk around with a chainsaw, randomly chainsawing things. What are you going to do to celebrate human achievement tonight, Mark?
Well, I'm going to try to do what other people have called a carbon belch. To the extent that anyone turns off their lights in America, my hope is they turn them off so that their plasma high-def TVs look better. That should be the only reason anyone's turning off lights. We live, as I mentioned, 1.5, 1.6 billion people don't have running water and electricity. Why are we celebrating the Middle Ages? Why are we celebrating the Dark Ages? And why are we celebrating what North Korea has already achieved? Earth Hour, darkness, energy poverty. This is the exact opposite. This is a marketing message set up by the World Wildlife Fund and a thing called Fairfax Media. The World Wildlife Fund is $750 million in international revenues. This is big business, and this is not about saving energy. They admit it's just about, quote, raising awareness, unquote. But the bottom line is people should abhor Earth Hour. We should not celebrate a return to the Dark Ages. We should be celebrating carbon-based energy. It is the moral choice. It has been the moral choice, one of the greatest liberators of mankind in the history of our planet.
Mark,
we should not only be tipping our hat to carbon-based, we should be cheering it on.
I don't want to boast, but there are 200 light bulbs in my studio right now. Top that. Hey, thanks for joining us today. All right.